What is up, everyone? I'm Ryan from Fireside Yankees. Let's get into today's live stream. We got a lot to talk about. I'm very excited to talk about it. Before we get into everything, really want to appreciate, everyone here that's been supportive, been here for the streams. We really appreciate you guys so much tuning in. If you're here, whether it's on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, I don't care where you're watching from. We appreciate you watching. Let's get a Let's Go Yankees going on in the chat right now. Let's see what we've got cooking. We've got signing Tanner Scott will be a huge move for the Yankee bullpen. I want to clarify there's no rumored interest. I wrote an article this morning. I kind of wanted to base this live stream on that kind of article. So, where I think I want to clarify how important it is for the Yankees to finish this winter strong. It's not just going to be enough for them to go out and get no one and it's kind of like cruise into the start of the season. Let me start reading some of the chats here. I apologize. Let's see. Cruise Control News. Thank you, man. Appreciate you. Let me just hearing what Spencer Jones just said on us Hot Stove. You guys can be excited to hear this. Let me tweet it out now. Give me 1 second, y'all. Actually, I'll tweet this out later. But he basically talked about trying to hit the ball hard in the air. That was on Hot Stove, but now that Hot Stove, now they kind of peel away from that. Cruise Control News, I agree. They need another infielder and they need a left-handed reliever. That's the idea. That's the goal. That's what I think the Yankees should be striving to do. Now, first and foremost, before we talk about anything regarding today's stream, I do not have sources. I obviously do not have sources. I do not have, information that the Yankees are trying to get Tanner Scott or anything of this sort. I want to clarify that before we talk about hypotheticals because, I do think I owe it to you guys to clarify between what a hypothetical is and what reality is. So with that being said, I get the concerns with Tanner Scott. I agree. It's fair to say that, he doesn't really make sense. And I get that too. His expected stats were a little bit down this year. But let me talk a little bit about what my logic was. I'm going to pull up my article itself regarding finishing strong and all that stuff. And I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to move over the media assets and kind of just, share. Oh, my bad, y'all. That is Giant stuff. My fault, y'all. I clearly did not have the background set up properly. That's my bad. Now we're going to present my screen. I'm going to show you guys kind of the article I put together this morning and kind of explain it and go through my argument as to why I think the Yankees should be looking, to take advantage of some of these shorter term deals that the Yankees could potentially take advantage of. So, in regards to Tanner Scott is one of the best relievers in the game. He is led baseball, all relievers in wins above replacement at 4.5. He has a ground ball rate of above 50%. He is sixth in home runs per nine. Those are important key metrics that I think, indicate that he's elite at damage prevention. And then, of course, he misses a ton of bats. And this is kind of the big graphic to look at here. And I'll open it in a new tab. And we'll share this one. See, the New York Yankees are projected to win a lot of games compared to the rest. They're projected, to win the most games in the American League. But 86.8 projected wins is almost 6 wins fewer than the Los Angeles Dodgers, who have the highest projected win total, according to Fangraphs. And really, I mean, once projections start rolling out in late January and early February, you'll see the consensus opinions that the Los Angeles Dodgers will go out and win more games than anybody else. Now, here's the thing. The gap between the Yankees and everybody else is notable enough that the Yankees will be considered favorites, but it's not notable enough to consider the New York Yankees a dominant force in the American League, more so a good team in a field of a pretty good team in a field of just solid teams. And I think that's an important distinction to make early on. I think it's important to emphasize the importance of taking advantage of the situation. The New York Yankees are in an American League where the second best projected team would be the sixth best projected team in the National League. The Yankees would have a significant advantage in the American League East as well if they're able to import talent at a pretty high clip. And the reason Tanner Scott is the kind of attractive player you talk about in that regard is because he could be, a 3 to 4 WAR player. And if he, no, excuse me, he could be a 1.5 to 2 WAR player. Let's be conservative here and say 1 to 1.5. And in a bullpen role, that's super valuable because we're talking about win probability added. Over the last 2 seasons, Tanner Scott has a +8 win probability added, which means he's helped his teams win 8 games over 2 years. That's very important and very impactful. And then when we talk about, maybe adding an infielder, even if it's a cheap infielder, I suggested someone like Ramon Urias, who you could trade for maybe from the Orioles if they have, if they believe they have a surplus of infield depth and are looking to add to their bullpen. But, Ramon Urias is like a 2 WAR player. If Tanner Scott is a 1 to 1.5 WAR player, but he's giving you, +2 or 3 win probability added, meaning he's providing 2 or 3 straight up wins to the New York Yankees, and you've got a 2 WAR player in addition to that, you're going to see a pretty significant shift in projected win total. We might see the Yankees be projected to go closer to that 90 win mark. And if you get to that, even let's say 89 wins, so it's about, it would be roughly 2.2 WAR. We're talking about 2.2 wins being added in those 2 transactions for the Yankees. We're talking about making this team 4 wins better than the second best team in the AL and 5 wins better than the second best team in the American League East, according to projected win total. The Orioles are right, I think, actually tied with the Twins in terms of projected win total. So the fact that they're not here is it's not really that, like, it's really not that big of a deal. But my point more so is, the Yankees need to take advantage of a soft American League, of an American League that has not really been, formidable this offseason, has seen a lot of talent leave the league versus go into the league. So again, the Yankees need to do a good job of importing talent and finishing this offseason strong, because if they don't, I don't know, man. I'm just going to feel like, we missed on an opportunity here. This is and I truly mean this, a very weak American League. And that's why I suggest a guy like Tanner Scott, who, objectively speaking, certainly raises your ceiling, improves your floor, and takes a strength and makes it even stronger. I believe someone mentioned it in the chat. If the Yankees were to get Tanner Scott, they would have the best bullpen in baseball. And he could be looking for more of a shorter-term deal. And a shorter-term deal is something that would certainly entice the New York Yankees, in my opinion, at least. Like, if you get a short-term deal, it's a 2-year deal, high AV, or you give them opt-outs or whatever it may be, that would be optimal. I just think that the Yankees need to be thinking about how to dominate in the American League, not just win. And, we talk about, putting together, putting a roster with excellence, a roster with excellent upside that can handle the struggles that you'll face during the season, whether it's tough competition, whether it's, big time opponents, whatever it may be. We're talking about facing the best of the best. You need pitchers who are the best of the best. And yeah, let's get crazy here. Go and make your bullpen about as good as possible. And I'm going to load up a couple of clips here that I think are of notable interest, because if you look at, the guy that, so let's look here. Tanner Scott struck out Shohei Ohtani 4 times, National League Division Series. He was dominant against Ohtani. If you want to take down the Dodgers, having someone like Tanner Scott who can just eviscerate the best hitters on the planet is, uber valuable. You have someone who is a killer against these kinds of lefties who, have demolished other guys in the Yankee pitching staff. The Yankees really lost that postseason, in my opinion, because they weren't able to win these close late game situations. So, when you look at a guy who can put up, again, had 4 strikeouts against Shohei Ohtani in 1 series, who showed that he is the Ohtani stopper. You have him, you have Devin Williams. And you say couldn't win in 2018 with the best bullpen. The Yankees in 2018 were a better team than the Yankees in 2024 in terms of a lot of different metrics. We can sit here and say one team got to the World Series, one team lost in the ALDS. Well, one team faced the 2018 Boston Red Sox, another team faced the Guardians and Royals, right? The competition was softer. That was a fact, right? We understood the competition in the American League was softer than in previous years. And recognizing that, again, if you took the 2018 Yankees and dropped them in the 2024 season, they might win the World Series. That's how bad the AL was. And that, the Dodgers weren't particularly dominant in 2024 as well. They seemed to kind of rise to the top because of, a pretty weak not a pretty weak league, but just, no one won 100 games that year. The Yankees didn't have this behemoth standing in front of them, and they somehow still managed to be, right there with everybody else, right there with the top contenders, independent in the World Series, narrowly losing games to the Dodgers, games that they should have won. So, and yeah, hitting in the postseason has been an issue, but the Yankees can acquire. I want them to acquire a bat. My goal isn't, spend money on a reliever and don't get a bat. It would be to get a bat and then use leftover money after moving Stroman into going out and acquiring the best player possible. It does not have to be Tanner Scott. It does not have to be anyone. It could be any single player that would make this team considerably better. Should the Yankees be in on Alex Bregman, considering that his, contract could shorten or be a shorter deal? I believe so. I firmly believe so. I think the Yankees should be in on everyone. They should be in on anyone or everyone. So, ultimately, I just think that the Yankees are in a position where, they need to be aggressive. They need to finish this offseason strong. I'm not sitting here and saying that they need to finish the offseason strong by, acquiring, it doesn't even really have to be Alex Bregman. I'm fine with it not being Alex Bregman. But I think personally it has to just be a good player, a player that gives you a pretty, solid bump forward. So, yeah, I think I got Tanner Scott on the show. He's disgusting. He's a disgusting pitcher in real life and wherever you want to, look. So, yeah. I also don't see the Yankees signing Bregman because of the qualifying offer, but I'm just saying the Yankees need to make a move that, clearly raises their ceiling and clearly raises their floor. I will not really, I think that it's imperative for us to understand how important that is, how critical it can be to go out and improve the offense and go out and improve the pitching staff and just make yourself better and just make your roster, just clearly separate yourself from the rest of the American League. Because when you leave it up to chance, when you leave it up to variance, when you rely too much on chance and variance, you get burnt. When you rely too much on, well, no one else has gotten meaningfully better, then a young team that wasn't supposed to be great ends up winning 100 games. Everyone remembers how the Baltimore Orioles were considered, how they were viewed going into the 2023 season. They win 100 games, they win the division, and you can say the Yankees, winning the division isn't the only thing in the world that you have to do. You have to win the postseason, but winning the division is a huge first step because you avoid the wild card round. And avoiding the wild card round, it ensures that when you get to the next round, whether it's, that you're 100% going to play in the division series. I always use this basic math equation. Even if you think the Yankees have a 70% chance of beating a team in the wild card round, that's 70% versus 100% to get to the ALDS, so the division series. That's a massive gap. If you were to multiply 70.70 by 1, you get, again, 70% chance of getting to the division series. And let's say you got a 50-50 shot, a coin flip after that. We're talking about like 35% odds of you getting to the the ALCS versus if you win your division, you got a 50-50 shot of winning the DS. You've got a 50% chance of going to the ALCS. So that's a dramatic shift in odds without changing, your team quality at all. So, again, I just want to continue to emphasize the importance of being a dominant team to ensure that you're going to win your division and that you're going to have a bye in the round. So you want to avoid the wild card round. It's a best of 3 series. That's terrifying. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. So, yeah. Hell no to Arias. His Savant page is horrible, and they need something better than that. I disagree. I think Ramon Arias is a perfectly fine player. He is good at baseball. He has been an above-average hitter for most of his career. I think he had one down year. And if you look at his Savant page, and, I'll pull it up now, and I'm sure it's whatever. I'm sure there are some blues and some light blues and some light reds and some just decent and some not great. Share this stuff. I mean, half of this stuff is even qualified. So, his bat speed isn't great. I get that's not great. It's firmly below average, league average barrel rate, league average exit velo, just kind of league average at everything. That's fine. Your league average at everything. That's fine. His numbers at Yankee Stadium would have been meaningfully better over the past 3 years, this past season, because of obviously Baltimore, which, isn't something that the Yankees don't have favorable park conditions for Ramon Arias. It's just that Baltimore has been extremely unfavorable to Ramon Arias. we're going to share this tab here, this graphic, which you can find through, you have to scroll through the Twitter account of @JacobE_STL. Jacob's a great mind. You guys should all follow him on Twitter. He's got great content, great data, great tools to utilize for your own, knowledge and research. If you look at weighted on base average here in Baltimore, 365, Yankee Stadium, 384, that's a significant gap. So Yankee Stadium would have boosted Ramon Urias' offense a good bit. And if you look at Ramon Urias' WRC plus, he had a 115 WRC plus this year, and he would have hit 3 more home runs had he played all of his games at Yankee Stadium. I personally think Ramon Urias is a good fit for the Yankees. If the Orioles are looking to move him, that'd be good for the Yankees. He's under free agency for the next 2 years. He's only got $3.2 million owed to him. And kind of the most important thing here, he could play second, he could play third. The Yankees would figure out where that defensive fit would be best. He's cheap. He doesn't block anybody in the organization. He can hit lefties decently well. It just kind of works for me, if I'm being honest with you guys. Now, at one of the comments here, we'll talk about Jorge Polanco in a second. Did you see the trade proposal with Stroman's to Twins for Willie Castro and Christian Vasquez? Yeah, I actually wrote an article, a mock trade with a similar package of players. And look, I don't think I was the first person to come up with that. I'm pretty confident in saying I think Mike Axisa came up with something like that. I don't know if I can confirm that. I saw it on Twitter that somebody said he made a similar mock trade. But Willie Castro is a player who I think would help the Yankees. Is a player who would benefit, I think, from playing at Yankee Stadium. Willie Castro is versatile. He can play second, third. He can play a little short. He can play some of the outfield. You can move him all over the diamond. That's useful if guys get hurt. Christian Vasquez is expensive, sure, but he's a backup catcher. The Yankees could use a backup catcher. If they save him $8 million in this kind of scenario, they push back on the luxury tax, the 4th threshold. And the theory I have in regards to how the Yankees should navigate the luxury tax, the 4th threshold, is that once Mark Leiter Jr.'s case is settled in arbitration, which it will be one way or another, someone's going to win and someone's going to lose that case. It doesn't matter who wins or loses that case. The New York Yankees will be over the 4th threshold of the luxury tax at the conclusion of that arbitration settlement. Whether it goes to a case, whether they settle out of court, whatever it may be, the New York Yankees will be over the 4th threshold of the luxury tax unless they trade Mark Leiter Jr. before that gets settled and trade him for a player who doesn't cost, as much as Mark Leiter Jr. Or, actually it'd have to be a player who costs about $1 million less than Mark Leiter Jr., which means it has to be a $1 million player. Point is, the Yankees will be over the 4th threshold in about a couple of weeks, right? They'll be over that 4th threshold. Now, once that happens, they'll be over the threshold by like $1 million. And what I've said on Fireside Yankees and what I've said on live streams is that what I do not want for the New York Yankees is for them to be over the luxury tax threshold by $1 million. They should not be over the 4th threshold by more than $1 million, by about $1 million or less. If you're going to be over the 4th threshold, the New York Yankees should end up, the Yankees should end up kind of trying to find a way to go under it. They should find a way to go under it. That's what they should do, because if you're going to be over it by $1 million and you're not going to make another addition, go under it. Do not stay over the 4th threshold. But if you're going to stay over it, you should add more. And the way to add more is, of course, reshuffling your finances around and finding a way to get Marcus Stroman either A, off the roster, or B, save some money off Marcus Stroman while making additions somewhere else. I think one of the places where you can do that is, of course, with that proposed or that mock trade with Christian Vasquez and Willie Castro, because you would be saving in that scenario. I believe it's about $2 million. $2 million. I think it might be because it's 16.4 minus 18.5. I believe it's $2.1 million in that scenario, which you'll take it. You go back under the luxury tax, under the 4th threshold. I would like the Yankees to add a left-handed reliever from there, but if they don't, I understand. In that scenario, you add Vasquez, you add Castro, you could add a left. And again, you could go over that 4th threshold. You likely will have to if you want to sign a Tim Hill. I would say just go sign a big name. Go sign a Tanner Scott. Go do something. Go make your team meaningfully better. But the one player I did want to talk about, for a second here, is Jorge Polanco. Now, Jorge Polanco, I understand Savant page is not inspiring. Totally get that. But here are a couple of things that I think people need to know. Jorge Polanco played in what is considered the worst ballpark in baseball to hit at. And it's not really close either. Let's take a look here at StatCast Park Factors, brought to you by Baseball Savant. This is not sponsored. I'm just telling you where you can find it. And I'm going to take down your comment for a second. Not take it down. I mean, just take it off the screen for a second so that I can display the full screen. You see here, 91 park factor. That is by far the worst for any ballpark. And, Coors Field over the last 3 years has been the most extreme run environment because it observes run scoring 12% more than any other ballpark. But T-Mobile Park is the second most extreme ballpark in baseball. It observes 9% fewer runs scored than any other ballpark in baseball. Now, this past year specifically, and really over the past 2 years, it has been egregiously, and I mean egregiously bad. Over the past, the past 2 years has remained constant. I apologize. It's the past year. This past year, while Coors Field remained extremely, it remained extreme. It was 10%. It observed runs being scored at a 10% clip, a 10% more than the average ballpark. It observed runs at that rate higher. Whereas Seattle observed runs being suppressed by an 11% margin. 11%. That is as extreme, if not, that's more extreme than Coors Field this year. And that's about as extreme as Coors Field has been for most of its post-Humidor lifetime. Now, you might notice here, the Cubs are on here. Why are the Cubs on here? Because of the wind and killing the ballpark, killing home runs at that ballpark. That bodes well for Cody Bellinger, who may have a better year in 2025. And then, of course, if St. Louis here, you go, maybe that could help someone like Paul Goldschmidt. But as it pertains to Jorge Polanco, one of the things he really struggled with was strikeout rate. And look at this. Seattle observed strikeouts at a 22% higher clip than any other ballpark in baseball. It was the most extreme run environment for strikeouts by a considerable margin, by 9% more. I mean, it's crazy. When you cannot make contact somewhere, when it's really hard to make contact somewhere, you almost have to question whether you can judge a player's offense at that ballpark. Because if you're going to see a massive increase in strikeout rates, or if you massively increase someone's strikeout rate, they're going to see a massive decrease in offensive production. There are not a lot of hitters who can stomach seeing their strikeout rate go up by, having a 22% increase in strikeout rate compared to a neutral ballpark. I mean, he played in Minnesota, in 2023. Minnesota in 2023 observed strikeouts. That's triples. I want to see strikeouts. Observed strikeouts at, a pretty high clip at 112. That's 12% more than average. But that is 12% more than average versus 22% more than average. He played at a ballpark with a 10% spike in that. And that seems to be an aberration because if you look at 2022, it's 103. The year after, I think it was also league average. If you just go by rolling years, 3 rolling years. Again, we can look at the strikeout rate, still 15% more often we see strikeouts there. It is the most extreme ballpark in baseball for that. So again, I just think Jorge Polanco is a victim of a bad ballpark. Maybe the thing that I think people should be stuck up on is the defense. The defense is bad. The base running is, league average now compared to above average in previous seasons. I think there are legitimate, and I do mean this, legitimate concerns with Jorge Polanco that have nothing to do with his bat. So, that's kind of where I'm at. I don't think it's fair to completely write him off. But I also think that it's completely unfair I don't think it's fair to write him off. I think it's fair to have concerns. That's kind of where I'm getting at. What else we had? So one player I wanted to talk about real quick before I get back to the comment section is there was a report that the Chicago Cubs and Alex Bregman's camp, Scott Boras, have discussed, but have had conversations, and that the Cubs would be very interested in a short-term deal with Alex Bregman. He may be looking for a short-term deal or may end up having to sign a short-term deal if no one gives him the money he's looking for. And in that scenario, Nico Hoerner may become available. Now, the New York Yankees and the Chicago Cubs have made multiple trades in their history. We know that the Cubs have mentioned liking Will Warren. There was that report that came out during the Bellinger negotiations. We know that Nico Hoerner is a player the Yankees would have interest in as a defense-first guy who can get on base at a decent clip. He's not going to kill you with OBP, but over the last 3 seasons, he's averaged a .337 on-base percentage. You would certainly take that with a 105 WRC plus, and he's had, basically 3 years of being a 4.5 WAR player. That is very impressive. He's an excellent base runner. He has a really good feel for contact. He's not going to slug a ton, but he's going to be a valuable player for you. We've talked about loving Ha-Seong Kim on this podcast. If I love Ha-Seong Kim, I would love Nico Hoerner, who's only entering his age 28 season. Nico Hoerner is the type of guy who I think the Yankees could feasibly trade for. Now, he is owed about $11 million towards a luxury tax. Perhaps what the Yankees could do in this situation is that the New York Yankees could try to maneuver the Stroman deal. Maybe they trade him just straight up for Christian Vasquez, because that would be $8 million for the Yankees that they would free up, when you would have a slightly lower payroll. I don't know. I don't really know how the Yankees would navigate the logistics of that. But Nico Hoerner, to me, seems to be, someone who I would have a heavy interest in. Of course, that's contingent on the Chicago Cubs ending up landing someone like Alex Bregman. Whether that's likely or not remains to be seen. But I was talking about, if they end up signing Alex Bregman, they have Matt Shaw. They are an organization that has shown that they're going to shed payroll while also trying to get better. There are reasons why they're still, fielding calls on Seiya Suzuki. There were reasons why they were fielding calls on Cody Bellinger. It was not because they didn't think those players could help them at all. It is because they don't want to pay a lot of money to certain players. Why do you think they're taking Kyle Tucker to arbitration over $3 million? The Cubs are an organization who have showed time and time again, they are financially very conscious of their payroll. If they were to sign Alex Bregman, I do not think they would pay $11 million to Hoerner, let's say $30 million to Bregman, $25 million to Swanson, and, I don't think they would do that. I think they would go with Matt Shaw at second base and then kind of go from there. So I think this is the scenario where, and maybe trade Hoerner for some pitching. The Yankees have some relief pitching. Will warrant someone who might interest them. I think that would be interesting as well. I would not be interested in Noel V. Marte. He was super bad defensively. He was super bad with the bat. He was so bad that it's not like you look at the upside and go, okay, maybe there's something going on here. No, you looked at that and say he was awful. He is not a productive player. He has to prove himself to be a productive player at this point in time. He is firmly below average as a starter, in my opinion. At that point, just play Oswaldo Cabrera or play Oswald Peraza. And that's something I don't want, obviously. I do not want that. Sox fans are trying to tell me that the Yankees are currently assembled are not a top 5 team. That's interesting. So are the Yankees a top 5 team? I would love to get, first off, I would love for the comment section to field that question. Do you think the Yankees is currently constructed or one of the 5 best teams in baseball? Now, in my opinion, I think the Yankees are. And the reason I believe they are is because they think they're one of the best pitching staffs in baseball, and they still have a top 10 position player group in the sport. Now, another part of this is the lack of talent across the league. The Dodgers, the Braves, the Phillies, the Mets, I think, are in this group as well. And the Yankees, I think they're just kind of separate from everyone else. Like, are the Diamondbacks better? No. Rangers? No. Astros? No. Red Sox? No. Twins? No. Orioles? No. Mariners? No. Cubs? No. Padres? No. Rays? No. Giants? No. Tigers? No. Royals? No. Cardinals? No. Right now, the Yankees, I think, are comfortably the 5th or 4th best team in baseball. I would have the Dodgers, Phillies, and Braves above them. I think the Braves and Phillies are extremely complete teams. And while they haven't done a lot this winter, the continuity of their roster will bode well for them. The Dodgers are the best team in baseball. I don't think anyone would argue that with you. I think the Yankees and Mets are you flip them back and forth, 4th and 5th. I think that's kind of where I have my top 5 currently. And I don't think that's debatable. The one team I'd hear a dark horse argument for is the Rangers if they stay healthy, because of the rotation they could throw out there. And I think you can bank on a lot of those guys in that lineup to bounce back. The Rangers are kind of my pick for they could be pretty good this year. I don't think it's fair to say the Yankees aren't a top 5 team. I think the median outcome is being a top 5 team for them. But of course, the offseason isn't finished. And that goes for the Yankees, and that kind of goes against the Yankees as well. Are the Orioles going to do something? Are the Red Sox going to sign Bregman? are the Mets going to sign Alonso and get a starting pitcher? You know, there are a lot of avenues these teams could still go to make massive improvements and make themselves meaningfully better. And what if the Yankees don't make themselves meaningfully better? Then maybe they aren't in that top 5. And what if like the Diamondbacks make a big move? So personally, what I would do if I'm the Yankees, this is the importance of finishing strong with this winter, because you finish strong, and we're not talking about, okay, they're a top 5 team. They're not top 2, but they're top 5, like something like that, into, oh, no. They're in that conversation with anybody. They can beat anybody. They can go toe to toe with any team in the league. That is the difference between what you currently have and like if you imported a Nico Horner and got like got a reliever. That right there is that, you get Horner and a reliever, your roster is meaningfully better. And meaningfully better is the point here. The Yankees need to get meaningfully better. They need to be meaningfully better than the rest of the American League. I currently view them as better than the American League, but not meaningfully better. I would not be shocked if they had the 2nd seed. I would not be shocked if they didn't win the division. I would not be. This is not a team where I look at them and go, man, if they didn't win the division, what the hell happened? I'll go, probably got a little banged up. Red Sox took a step forward, maybe. Orioles took a step forward, maybe. That's what I would sit here and say. If the Yankees missed the playoffs, I'd be stunned. That is a stunning outcome for me. But if they didn't win the division, if they didn't have the 1 seed, I'd be like, I see how that happened. The Dodgers, you don't really see a world where the Dodgers don't win the division. And the Diamondbacks are a very good team. The Diamondbacks have very strong projections. They're a very strong roster. They have Gallen. They have Burns. They have Merrill Kelly. Brandon Pfaadt's a good 4 starter. Jordan Montgomery could bounce back and be a 5, but they also have Eduardo Rodriguez. Bullpen's a question mark, but that lineup is sick. You could see how the Diamondbacks can be very good. And realistically, it's not that they don't have a shot. Like, technically, anyone has a shot at winning that division because baseball's a random sport. And, you can't give a team a 0% chance to win the division if they're competitive, and Diamondbacks are. But, like, what are their odds of winning the division? Like, 5%? 4%? And that seems pretty good. So can you create that kind of gap between you and the Orioles or you and the Red Sox, whatever team you feel like is the second best in the American League East, which I think is a real conversation. But yeah, I think it's a little silly to argue the Yankees aren't top 5, but I also think the Yankees need to, you got to look back and say, all right, it's the gap between you and that 6th and 7th team is notable, but it's not massive enough where you feel comfortable. So, I think there's nuance to this conversation. And again, it's an emphasis on the Yankees need to finish this offseason strong and get impact players. You need to get players who make them better. Could be wrong. The Yankees aren't going to get Anthony Santander. He has no positional fit. It's not a matter of even like money or like something could open up. No. They do not have a fit for him on the roster. He doesn't have a spot here. So, there's that. In regards to, I think it's a little crazy to rule out the Orioles entirely. That's just kind of my opinion on it, but I could be wrong. I've always been wrong. I've been wrong before. I think that, the Orioles are a little too good to count out entirely. I know the Yankees are out on Bregman because of the budget. Yeah, if it's a short-term deal, yes, they should be in on Bregman. They should be. I agree. They should be in on Bregman if it's a short-term deal. He makes a lot of sense. If the Yankees got Bregman, again, that's meaningfully better. You get Bregman, you are meaningfully better. You are a decent bit better than you were. Like, you're adding a 4-WAR player to your roster. Let's say the New York Yankees add a 4-WAR player to their roster. Then all right, you have someone there. You kind of have to subtract some of the games played by Cabrera. You kind of even it out. Ends up being the Yankees probably end up gaining 3-WAR. In this deal. And if they have 3 wins above replacement extra, that bumps them from. And so let me pull up FanGraphs projections here to kind of contextualize, put into practice what I'm trying to say. If the Yankees were to add someone like Alex Bregman and they were able to improve their wins above replacement by about 3 wins, that would give them 51.8 WAR. Congratulations, you have more wins above replacement than the Los Angeles Dodgers. I just want you to think about that. I really do. I just want you to think about that. Now, do I think with Bregman, the Yankees be better than the Dodgers? No. I think the Dodgers have a much better distribution of where they get their wins above replacement. They have a ridiculously deep rotation. They could import Roki Sasaki. Obviously, that would give them even more talent, and they would be even better. And the distribution of how they get their WAR, that being the Dodgers, they get WAR kind of from every look at the position groups. There isn't a single one below 2.1. They get WAR from everywhere. If the Yankees get an infielder, you start going, all right, the Yankees kind of get WAR from everywhere, right? DH spot's a little shaky. That's because Stan's kind of a brick. The Dodgers are one of the few teams that can get elite WAR production. You have them. You have, the Astros, A's, Brent Rooker, Kyle Schwarber. Who's their DH? Oh, Jake Berger, Marcell Ozuna, Yelich, and Contreras play some DH games. Don't know who their DH is, but I know it's somebody notable. Point is, your only good DH teams are teams that have it's circumstantial. Having a good DH situation is either having a generational player like Ohtani, having a player who cannot play the outfield, or you can cover him not playing the outfield in Jordan, or so on or so forth. But, I mentioned Bregman because if they got Bregman, they would be, clearly better than everybody else in the American League by such a large margin that it would be stupid to predict anybody else to have not to predict anyone else to have a better record, but to predict anyone else to win the division. That's how substantial of an improvement that would be. And if you add Tim Hill, it's barbecue sauce, barbecue chicken. So, personally, I would prefer the Yankees to get a better distribution of that wins above replacement. I mentioned Nico Hoerner because I love Nico Hoerner. If you add Nico Hoerner, you move Jazz back to third, you put Hoerner at second. You have quite the lineup, quite the defense, quite the ball club. That batting WAR gets better. Your overall team WAR, you're probably going to improve by 2 wins above replacement. If you're able to, get that final piece in your bullpen, maybe that's a Tim Hill, maybe that's an Andrew Chafin, maybe I don't think it's a Tanner Scott, but that kind of situation. Yeah, if it's Tim Hill, I don't give a crap. I love Tim Hill. Tim Hill would be great to have back. The Yankee bullpen can certainly have some reinforcements internally. Warren and Beater, I think, could have big years. So, it's about just finish it off, finish it strong, make your offseason, round it out nicely. I want a nice impact player to go with a supplementary player. Scott and Arias is impact supplementary. Check my box, right? Hoerner / Kim, or Hoerner, the thing is he's ready on opening day. That's a big advantage there. But Hoerner and Hill, impact supplementary. Check. Happy. I'm happy with that. I think most fans would say, yeah, our team is pretty freaking good. And the other chart I want to pull up before I talk about, and I see Edouard Julien there. I see you, Christian. Don't worry. I want to talk about Edouard Julien too, because I like Edouard Julien. Edouard Julien's my boy. It's my dog. I love him. Always loved him as a prospect. I wanted the Yankees to trade for him when they were shopping around Gallo and see if the Twins would do that. But they're not stupid. The Twins are not stupid. They weren't going to do that. Nope, not what I meant to do. Yep. Okay, sharing this tab. Let's take a look here. The Yankees projected wins by season. This is via Fangraphs. Now, Pacoda's a little different. Pacoda views the Yankees as a team that was their 2 best projections came in the 3 best projections came in 2020, 2022, and 2023, which I would consider to be 2 of their worst seasons in the Judge era, which is kind of weird. But they also, like Fangraphs, projected the Yankees to have their worst win projection since 2018 with that 2024 team. That 2024 team was hilariously flawed. And the Yankees currently pace to be about 0.6 wins worse than the 2024 team. If you were to add Nico Hoerner and you were to add Tim Hill, or you were to add Tanner Scott and add a Ramon Urias or Willie Castro, the New York Yankees would be in a position where they would be, in that, all right, projected to win 89, maybe 90 games. The difference would be, in 2021, in 2020, in 2019, 2018, they shared the American League with an Astros team who was consistently out projecting them those years. And you look at 22 even, Astros very good that year. 23, that was the one year where the AL started to open up. 2024, 2025, the AL's been open. 2025, the Yankees have, an 88, 89 win projection. It'll be the first time that their projected win total improved since 2020 to 2021. I just want you guys to think about that. And 2020 to 2021 was improving from 94.8 wins to 95.4 wins. So that's within a margin of error there. Again, if I'm looking at the 2025 Yankees, I think the thing they need to, again, do is how do you end up looking at yourself and saying we're better than the 2024 team? How do you do that? You throw out a roster that should be better than that team. And then you look at the deadline, you reassess, and you address from there. And, the Yankees may have a better farm to work with because they do have a full draft of prospects coming in. We interviewed outfield prospect Brendan Jones. He's a very exciting player. I'm very happy to have in the organization. They drafted a slew of pitchers. The first 7 rounds are pitchers. Ben Hess rocks. Bryce Cunningham rocks. Thatcher Hurd rocks. Because some of these guys who had strong second halves have big, full years in 25. We'll see. But ultimately, right now the Yankees need to finish strong. They need to finish strong, or else we're going to be looking at the worst projected Yankee team by Pacoda probably as well. I assume they're going to project the Yankees to win fewer than 94 games with their current roster. But, looking at Fangraphs here, with their worst projected team since 2017, when they were not expected to do anything, I think that is a referendum on the front office if that's what they roll out in 2025. Just because the AL sucks does not mean this is good enough. I want you to look at this. I want you guys to digest this. Look at this chart. I want you to digest it. This is a team that's good. They're not bad. This is not a team that's supposed to suck next year. But this is a team that is, on paper, worse than every other Yankee team you've seen outside the 2017 squad. On paper, expectation-wise, all that stuff. So when I hear people say they shouldn't get this guy, they shouldn't get that guy, they should, stay internally, why spend the extra money? Even if Hal uses that excuse. I'm not saying that, you can have the opinion that like the front office and ownership won't spend, but you shouldn't have the opinion that that's the right decision, in my opinion. Excuse me, you shouldn't. I disagree with the opinion that that's the right call. In my opinion, the right call is to make your team better. And you do whatever you can to make your team better. And for a competitive offer for Nico Hoerner, let's take a look here. Let's look at what the Cubs struggle at. Sorry, share this time instead. Look at the Cubs. They are bottom 5 in projected bullpen WAR. What do the Yankees have to offer here? Let's talk about Jake Cousins or Ian Hamilton. Maybe Ian Hamilton's valuable. Will Warren is someone that the Cubs have had interest in. We know that, again, based off of a report that came out during the Cody Bellinger trade rumors, something that can also be corroborated. I'm sure if this gets sparked up, Will Warren's name will come up. And if Will Warren's a valuable piece here, I would certainly make him available. Warren and Hamilton, I think, is a strong start to an offer. Now, I think you need to offer a player in your organization that has upside. Maybe it's a Roderick Arias. I'm not sure the Cubs like Roderick Arias. Roderick Arias' public and private perceptions in terms of value are dramatically different. The Yankees do not have a deep farm system. But if Warren is seen as a player who could be an impact pitcher for the Cubs in year 1, if Ian Hamilton is seen as an immediate help for their bullpen, they may entertain this deal from a straight up need to bolster that bullpen. They have Matt Shaw, good young player who could fill in at second. This is, of course, if the Cubs got Bregman. So if you're a Yankee fan, obviously you should want your team to get good players, and Alex Bregman is a good player, and on a short-term deal, that would certainly entice anybody. But when it comes to who you should want him to go to, the Cubs are my top pick because he's in the National League, hurts the Red Sox, hurts the Tigers, hurts the Blue Jays. Doesn't affect you. Dilutes the competition even further, the National League. Projections take into account your league competition. So the Dodgers win percentage is going to be hampered down by playing in the National League. Same with the Braves. Same with the Phillies. Same with the Mets. Same with the Diamondbacks, which is why I do say, the Mets, I think you should. I am not ignorant enough to sit here and say the Yankees are clearly better than the Mets. Like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not doing it. I'll tell you who I think is better. And I think they're very evenly matched with the Mets playing in a tougher league. The Diamondbacks are a good team, but you dilute that competition, you make it harder for these teams to get past their respective leagues. That helps you as a contender. You create a little more variance. Maybe you don't get the Dodgers in a World Series draw if you were to get back to the World Series. And then, of course, Hoerner becomes available. And the Mariners, they liked Nico Hoerner, but they've acquired an infielder since, Donovan Solano. It's very rare that you see a team like the Seattle Mariners overly invest in one position group. It's also rare that you see the Mariners, acquire 2 players for one position group. I imagine Donovan Solano is their solution at second base, or their projected solution at second base. Maybe Hoerner is an option for them at third base. That would certainly be something to explore if you're them. But if you're Nico Hoerner, if you're the New York Yankees, you're the Chicago Cubs, remember the Cubs, Yankees, they have a trade relationship. If you can get Nico Hoerner, and I think they can, you can give them something that they need, and that's reliever help. And you can get a player that you need in Nico Hoerner 2 years of control, free of about $11 million in the Cubs payroll. They bring in Bregman, that offsets some of the money. They really only end up paying $20 million more towards their luxury tax in that scenario if Bregman's making $30 million, or it's close to like $18, $19 million, because Hoerner's, I think, $11 to $12 million towards the luxury tax. For the Yankees, you improve your defense dramatically. Nico Hoerner is one of the best defenders in the league. He's your leadoff hitter potentially because of his decent OBP. And then, in terms of how we would profile at Yankee Stadium, I'm not confident he would hit very well at Yankees. Like, I'm not confident Yankee Stadium's his vibe, like where he would have the most success. But I don't view it as also like a detrimental ballpark for him. I don't view Yankee Stadium as the kind of ballpark that would completely kill, his ability to hit. Like, I really don't think it's like a death valley for him. I can check now. I could be wrong. Data is always better than what I have to say. And also, if I could choose between Bichette and Neto, it would be Neto any day of the week, not factoring in price. Neto is a better player. Neto, I think, is well, it's also the years of control, right? Like, that's valuable. I do think if I were to just trade for a player, factor in their value, all that stuff, I'm picking Bichette, because Bichette's got 1 year left, right? He's coming off a down year. So if you ask me, like, assess their market value and then acquire a player based on their market value, going with Bichette. But obviously, as you mentioned, neither are available. I just think it's a very interesting thought experiment because they're both kind of like questionable defensive shortstops with big bats and pretty good base running tools. Yeah, Dave, you make a great point regarding the draft picks. I'm not particularly sure the Yankees would sign Bregman because of that. So, again, I would love Bregman on a short-term deal, but again, I would root for the Cubs to sign him so that the Cubs feel inclined to move someone like Hoerner, because that would certainly benefit the New York Yankees. Now, one thing I would like to mention, I'm going to share this tab right now. You kind of want the Mets to sign Alonso, because if the Mets don't sign Alonso, they're going to get Bregman probably. Like, they have more money than anybody else to offer. They are not close to like being like in a bad payroll situation. So if you look at the Cubs, the situation here, Chicago would have proven to be a way worse ballpark for him to hit in than Yankee Stadium, which I find interesting. So Yankee Stadium would be better for Nico Hoerner than Chicago was. So perhaps Nico Hoerner have a better time hitting in Yankee Stadium than he would in Chicago. Ronald Duffney, what's up, man? Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well, my man. Let's see what else we got here. Wish we got Michael Conforto. The defense wouldn't have been a fit here. I do like Conforto a lot. He's a good bat, but you got to understand the Yankees are going to factor in defensive value because of that left field situation. The international pool ends tomorrow. No signings have to become official tomorrow. The Yankees are not going to get Sasaki, but they're going to be able to kind of pull in all their guys and do a get all their guys that they were projected to get and maybe get somebody extra or two. So yeah, I'm not really concerned about that right now. What's up? Any new Yankee news? Nothing new, Willie. Nothing new. Just chopping it up a little bit. Just chopping it up with the folks, with the fellas, with the guys and gals, with anyone in between. Just chopping it up with you guys. With that being said, yeah, Edward Julien would be a nice player, I think, to get if you can get him on a buy low, because I do think he's a better hitter than people think. Second year, I think, was a fluke. Now, strikeout rates are high. That's a concern. Average is low. BABIP's always going to be low. But his ability to hit for power and his walk rates, 2 thumbs up. Christian, same wavelength here. But yeah, I mean, I think the Yankees acquiring Edward Julien. Now, here's what I'm going to float to you guys. Edward Julien and Christian Vasquez or Marcus Stroman. Go get Tanner Scott. Just do both. Just go make your team insanely good. That's kind of where I'm at. Any shot, Bregman could still be a chance. I'd say no, just because of the qualifying offer, but I guess crazy things could happen. Jack Curry did say this, and this is where the Tanner Scott kind of idea floated, where if the Yankees were able to move off of Marcus Stroman's money, that things get a little interesting with the Yankees' conduct in the infield market. So perhaps they'd be a little more aggressive if they move off of Stroman. And it doesn't have to be Stroman. I mean Bregman. It could be, again, if you got me Tanner Scott, an infielder, man, I'd be right. I'd be, you know what I mean? That's kind of where I'm at. So, we'll see. We'll see. Again, the thought process for me, it's got to be an impact player and a supplementary player for that bullpen and infield spot. Don't really care who it is, I don't really care who is what. I just care that they do get meaningfully better. So, yeah, and Arenado, I think that dream is dead. I think that dream is firmly dead. So, yeah. And I think Profar ends up back with the Padres when it's all said and done. So there's that. Now we're gonna be wrapping up in the next like 12 minutes or so. Wanted to keep this one shorter just because there wasn't a lot really to talk about outside of just me staying up way too late at night and having way too many opinions. That's realistically what's fueled my brain the last few days. Way too much time on my hands. School doesn't start for another 13 days for me. So yeah, there's that. And my girlfriend went away for college. She went back. So I'm just kind of like my best friend, Dre, shout out Dre. He's in college too. So, just way too much time on my hands, way too much time on my hands right now. That's kind of what's pushing a lot of this right now in terms of like, why the hell am I thinking about Tanner Scott? Why? Because it is 1 a.m. and there's nobody else except for my family in the house. Spanish, I'd say the Yankees are pushing for a rise. Joey, I want to clarify about that article. The report it's an aggregation of what John Morosi said on MLB Network about a week ago on MLB Network, where he talked about the Yankees being interested in Luis Arraez. So not to sit here and say that, that website is not solid, but that they were not reporting anything. They simply aggregated what was said on social media by John Morosi. Now, with that being said, it's important to note that, aggregation is, I don't have a problem with aggregation. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's a bad thing when it's misinterpreted or put out improperly. And I think the problem is that not even this article did a great job of it. They immediately put out that it's not their report. They mentioned the reporters mentioned. John Morosi was the reporter mentioned. And they mentioned that directly, they did not mince words. They got straight to business. It was a very short article, but it's an aggregation report. It is not a sourced report from a local reporter in, on that Spanish site. So just to clarify, it's aggregation. It is not new news. It is not a report. It is nothing that should change our opinion on whether Luis Arraez will be a Yankee or not. He will not be a Yankee because nothing has changed on that front. Kike Hernandez to play second or third base. Good bench piece, not a starter, in my opinion. With Tanner Scott, well, he could want to be the closer. He could also want to be paid. I think he should want to be paid. That should be his goal, want to be paid. So, yeah, maybe the Yankees aren't an attractive spot because I actually didn't think about that. That is a great, great, great talking point. What if money is all the same, is he going to be a Yankee? I don't think that'd be the case. That's a good point. That's a very good C.C.A. Good point. Make good points. I would love for the Yankees I would too. Should went to the Reds for Candelario. No, Hunter Candelario is bad. Like at that point, just stay internal. Just don't even move anybody. Don't. You know what I mean? Because you also have to guarantee that second year. Don't do it. Just don't do it. We'll talk about Willie that comment in a second. What infield do you want for the Yankees, Ryan? Nico Hoerner is number 1 on my board. Ha-Seong Kim is number 2 on the board. Number 3 on the board is Willie Castro. Number 4 on the board is Ramon Urias, of options that have not been ruled out for the New York Yankees at the moment. Who do you think the Yankees could get in international pool signing day tomorrow? I think it's already public who they're targeting, and we'll do a video on that, which, Angel, actually, I recorded on the first 3 guys, and I have to publish that tomorrow. So, I will talk about the top 100 guys in one video. We'll talk about the other guys in another video because scouting reports for these guys are very hard to come across. You have to watch film. You have to read scouting reports. It is a lot, and it is a lot of like inaccuracy. And I also need to get a couple of things. I need to fine tune a couple of things. So, yeah. Lucky bro, enjoy those college years. Haha. Yeah, I'm trying to enjoy it as best I can, but I'm also just, I don't know. I just kind of like my job. Like I like doing this stuff. I like talking about baseball. So that's kind of like what I like doing. So, I've had fun with college, but if I'm being honest with you guys, this is way more fun for me. What is most realistic? That's a great question. I would imagine like a Ramon Urias or a Willie Castro would be probably, likely options because they're cheap and they only need, they won't require top prospects. I also think, Jorge Polanco is realistic for that reason. So, yeah. I think Correa is wishful thinking based on their financial situation, and I think the Twins are going to be a little less willing to move him. So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at there. So, yeah, I don't really know what I feel like I'm so lost in their infield pursuits. So, yeah. Yeah. Let's see. What do we got here? I'm just check. Man, I really don't know I truly don't know what's gonna happen here. I mean, this infield market's weird. The entire market is weird. So yeah. I do not want these two. My God, man. If it's DJ and Cabrera, I'll cry, man. These guys are not good. The Yankees need to still strike while the iron is hot. That is an excellent point. The Yankees need to strike when the iron's hot. If market deals start, we're going to go short term, whatever, go get a short term guy. That's kind of where I'm at. Sup, Brian? What's good, Zach? Hope you're having a good one, man. Appreciate you stopping by. I'm gonna wrap things up the next 5 minutes or so. So I just want to let you guys know so you guys can get questions in, and so I can answer everything. Yeah, I think that whatchamacallit, I want to make sure I'm answering all your questions and all that stuff. So what do you have on Francisco Villorio? He had a rough year this year. I did read about an injury. I was very concerned because high whiff rates, not a lot of game power, but he's young. I'll give him time. I think next year is a big year for him. We'll see what happens next year, but hold off on any judgments or criticisms or massive shifts in anything. I think I'm going to bump him off my top 30, but that's not because of him, but that's because I ranked him pretty low in the first place because he wasn't like a dominant international free agent prospect when he got signed anyways. So yeah. Wonder why Flaherty hasn't been signed yet. I mean, remember those medicals the Yankees, were weary of. How do you think teams are looking at medicals for a guy they got to give multiple years to? I mean, that's definitely going to hurt his market a little bit. With Scott, you could go Weaver for 6 and 7, Scott or Williams for 8, and then dude, that'd be stupid, man. That'd be stupid. Like that'd be stupid as hell. You know what I mean? I'd sit here, dude. I would be. You know what I mean? That would be beautiful. You'd win so many games doing that. But I'm not particularly sure. I don't think the Yankees are going to end up with Tanner Scott. I just think it's the kind of thing where, the Yankees need to go out and get better. It doesn't matter where it has to be. It's just going out and getting better. And yes, I would love Ha-Seong Kim to be a Yankee. I don't think his market's moved at all. I don't know where the hell he's going to go. So, yeah, there's that. I don't really know. Game would be over in 6 innings. Yeah, it would be over after 6 innings. That's just a fact. The game would be over after 6 innings. You would have the feel of like, yeah, this game's over. Like we've got straight up dudes who rock, and we've got a great rotation to go as well. So, great rotation, great bullpen. That's exactly what you want to do. That's exactly what matters. That's the kind of stuff I need. That's the kind of stuff I need, folks. So, yeah, there's that. Anywho, with that being said, whatchamacallit, I just want to again let you guys know we're going to end around the hour mark. So if you guys want to ask any questions, you guys could ask any questions you want. It doesn't even have to be baseball ones, just nothing crazy. What do you think of Rafael Flores? Hell yeah. Let's talk about Rafael Flores. Hell yeah. And also, please hit that like button. That'd be great. If you can like, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, that would be dope. But let's talk about my boy Rafael Flores. I fucking love Rafael Flores. Excuse my language. The first thing I'm gonna pull up is this player card app by David Strickland Analytics. Hopefully, I think it has a Twitter account linked on the player cards themselves. We're going to go here. I'm gonna just let it load for a second, but I'm gonna let the stream go a little longer so that we can fit all these questions in. I'm not gonna just abruptly stop talking at the 1 hour mark and disconnect. I'm not a loser. That's a lie. I am a loser, but not that much of a loser. Let's look at Rafael Flores here, who had what I think is a phenomenal year in Double-A and on the season. In 65 Double-A games, he hit 15 home runs, 274 average. Jesus Christ, man. Hold on. I'm going to download this, and I'm going to download the hitter card because like the website itself can be a little buggy. I'm going to download the hitter card. That's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to share that tab. But you see the red here. You just press this download button. There we go. And we're going to we're gonna go here. I just got to figure out. I'm not good at sharing non-Chrome tabs. That's something I've got to like figure out. Present, stop screen. We're going to share screen, and it's going to be window. Where is it? Where is it? Entire screen. Nope. Damn, I can't show. Copy. We're gonna give me a sec. We're gonna try to share screen. This isn't working the way I want it to. This is not working the way I want it to. I will obviously extend this stream to continue talking. I swear to God, I'm not ending this stream without talking about Rafael Flores. Rafael Flores is awesome. And also, Ray Cole, thank you, man, for showing up. Appreciate you. Have a great rest of your night, man. Thank you for stopping by. Now, Rafael Flores, how do I get this image? I'm going to go to Canva. Maybe Canva would be... How do I check a downloaded image like on something that isn't? Do you guys want to do that? How do I open a downloaded image in a tab? Is there a way to do that? Is there a way to do that at all? Is there any way to make a... Okay, is there any way to do this? Copy as path. Maybe if I do this. There we go. Share this tab instead. Bang! Figured it out, boys and girls and anyone here. I don't really know. Anywho, so Rafael Flores this past year was awesome. 65 games, 15 home runs, 274 average, 519 slugging percentage, 395 weighted on base average, a 150 WRC plus. And this came in an extremely run-depressed run environment. The reason it says a 150 WRC plus there, it's no mistake, guys. He was awesome in Double A. He was awesome. And again, he really was playing in a run-depressed environment. And you look at some of the underlyings here. I don't know how well you guys can see this. Oops, let me just zoom out a little bit. It's a little much. If you guys can see this well, just let me know. I'm just going to, yep, you should be able to see this. So his weight on base average was really good, 395, 92nd percentile, 93rd percentile WRC plus. Really good average, really good slug, really good BABIP, really good isolated power. A lot of his fly balls went out of the yard because he hits the ball super hard. He had a 94 mile per hour average exit velocity. His 90th percentile exit velocity looked like the kind of exit velos you would see from guys like Gunnar Henderson, Yanni Diaz, Ron Acuna Jr., stuff like that. His patience, he didn't chase a lot, 71st percentile chase rate, a 56th percentile whiff rate. So his contact rates are actually a little bit better than the average here in Double A. Rafael Flores is a monster. He hits the crap out of the ball. Yeah, he was the minor league player of the year this past year. He is the perfect catcher with Austin Wells. I agree. He can play first base too. This guy is a beast when it comes to raw power. He is someone who I absolutely hope the Yankees have plans for in 2025 because he's a stud. And if he pops off, he could really pop off. What about TJ Rumfield? The game power isn't great. The raw power isn't great. He struggled in the Dominican Winter League, and he was just kind of good, not great this year. The Yankees left him unprotected in the Rule 5 draft. I think those are indications that the Yankees aren't super high on TJ Rumfield, although I would love, and I truly mean this, I would love for TJ Rumfield to just like have a year, like just pop off. I want all these Yankee prospects to do great. So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. What's your ideal bench for the Yankees? Need a backup catcher. I would just like one. Like Christian Vasquez would be nice for that. I would like to cut DJ, have Peraza and Cabrera, and then go with Grisham. That's what I would do. That's exactly what I would do right then and there. Because I think DJ's just not helping. Maybe you could do Ben Rice instead of Peraza, but Peraza's out of minor league options. That's kind of what I would do. And Cabrera could play some first. Yeah, that's what I would do. And Head Hunch, I really appreciate this, man. That you didn't follow until this offseason. I appreciate you, man. You're the man. Thank you so much, dude. I really appreciate the kind words. I really do. Like, it means a lot from you guys. It really does. As for who's a better prospect, Augustin Ramirez, I think, was a better prospect. Better hitter, younger hitter, more projectable. Flores has to prove a little bit more behind the plate than Augustin Ramirez does. Would you trade for Carlos Correa? I would. They should go get Bregman. Again, would love them to do that. Don't see it happening with the qualifying offer. Need Steven Ridings back? Absolutely. And if he does get called up this year, that being Rafael Flores, I would be stoked. I haven't heard of any teams interested in Marcus Stroman. I do not have like sources for that stuff. I am not the person to ask on that, unfortunately. I wish I had more to provide. I wish I had information to provide. So, yeah, there's that. Anywho, getting your final questions in now. We'll try to wrap things up in the next couple of minutes. Really appreciate you guys, being here, tuning into the show, checking out Fireside Yankees. You guys have been awesome. with this stuff. You guys have been great. You guys have been so supportive. Appreciate you guys so much. You guys are the best. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Donovan for Jones, I would do that. I would do that 1-for-1 for sure. I just don't think that the Cardinals would do that. And I like Spencer Jones, and I'm actually really excited to talk about some of the improvements he was talking about because that's going to be a tweet and article. We'll see. But yeah. Anywho, yeah. Thank you, dude. Appreciate you chopping it up with us, man. Appreciate you chopping it up with us. So, yeah, again, thank you all so much. Have a great rest of your night. Enjoy watching playoff football in the next couple of weeks. Enjoy the last few weeks of the offseason because things are going to ramp up very quickly. Appreciate you guys again. See you all in the next one. Peace out. Let's go Yankees.